Doing notes on chronological order, text structure. We talked about cause and effect text structure last week and what a cause and effect text structure was. As a review, our cause and effect text structure would be when the author talks about a cause of an event or an event with a bunch of causes. Now we're talking about chronological order, which is a sequence. Today I'm going to be using chronological order and sequence in a fiction, and then the next time that you see a lesson for reading, it will be informational text. So I want you to glue in both of these notes in your notebooks. For chronological order, when I talk about chronological order, I'm talking about sequence. It's when the author lists items or events in numerical order or chronological order. The sequence describes the order of events. A lot of times we have signal words like first, second, third, next, then, after, finally, before, prior to, not long after, simultaneously, and at last. Here's an example. Our example on the bottom. In 1804, Captains Meriwether Lewis and William Clark led an expedition called the Corps of Discovery. They arrived at Knife River villages. Then they built Fort Mandan in the spring. Charbonneau and Sacagawea joined their crew as guide and interpreter. During the expedition, Sacagawea played a vital role in the success of their journey. So as I am reading, I am taking note of any important events. Okay, as I read, I highlighted. Now I'm going to highlight that they had an expedition. They left on the expedition as the first thing that happened. They arrived. That's the second thing that happened. They built. That's the third thing that happened. In the spring, so that's later, Sacagawea joined. That's the fourth thing that happened. So there's four things that happened. They left on the expedition. They arrived at Knife River villages. They built Fort Mandan, and then Sacagawea and Charbonneau joined their crew as guide and interpreter. So now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to read this. This is called a flow chart. It tells us where everything falls into what happened first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, so forth. After begging my parents to get a dog for weeks, my dad woke me up early one Saturday morning. He wouldn't tell me where we were going as he drove over 30 minutes into the country. Finally, he asked, "What color lab puppy did you say you wanted?" Shocked and thrilled, I chose a black lab puppy and named him Buck. Then we went to the pet store and I picked out a collar, leash, and some puppy food. When we got home, I played with Buck for hours. So I want to find out which ones happened first, second, then last. So after I read it to understand it, I go through and I mark. So I begged my dog to get my dog for weeks. Let's see. My dad woke up early and woke us up early. We drove to the country. I got my dog. We went to the pet store. And then I'm going to have you write the last event in our discussion. Okay? After begging my parents. So I begged. This is how I'm going to organize my information. I begged my parents for a dog. After that, we woke up early on Saturday. Then we drove to the country. Then I chose a black lab puppy. Oh, I actually forgot that event. I named him Buck. Then I went to the dog store. We went to the dog store. Pet store. And then the last thing that I want you to finish out the 6th event, what happened last after they went to the pet store. And that's going to be submitted in our discussion or the assignment.